Military Assistance Command Vietnam Studies and Observations Group MACV-SOG was a highly classified, multi-service United States Special Operations Unit which conducted covert unconventional warfare operations prior to and during the Vietnam War. Established on 24 January 1964, the unit conducted strategic reconnaissance missions in the Republic of Vietnam, South Vietnam, the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, North Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, carried out the capture of enemy prisoners, rescued downed pilots, conducted rescue operations to retrieve prisoners of war throughout Southeast Asia, and conducted clandestine agent team activities and psychological operations. The unit participated in most of the significant campaigns of the Vietnam War, including the Gulf of Tonkin incident which precipitated increased American involvement, Operation Steel Tiger, Operation Tiger Hound, the Tet Offensive, Operation Commando Hunt, the Cambodian Campaign, Operation Lam Son 719, and the Easter Offensive. The unit was downsized and renamed Strategic Technical Directorate Assistance Team 158 on 1 May 1972 to support the transfer of its work to the Strategic Technical Directorate of the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, part of the Vietnamization effort. The Studies and Observations Group, also known as SOG, MACV-SOG, and MACV-SOG, was a top-secret, joint unconventional warfare task force created on 24 January 1964 by the Joint Chiefs of Staff as a subsidiary command of the Military Assistance Command Vietnam, MACV. The unit would eventually consist primarily of personnel from the United States Army Special Forces, the United States Navy SEALs, the United States Air Force, USAF, the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, and elements of the United States Marine Corps Force Reconnaissance Unit.
I am your host, Bruce Christensen. Major General Eldon A. Bargewell, Park Dedication, May 20th, 2023.
Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, run away, just what they say, the brave men of the Green Beret. Silver wings upon their chests, these are men of America's best. Test today, but only three of the Green Beret. Of nature's land, training combat on ahead, mountain by night and day, courage take from the Green Beret.
Young soldiers, old soldiers, and people that have not even been soldiers, if they are around Eldon Bargewell for just a very short time, they know that this is a special, unique individual.
Those are the words.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jason Fry, Chairman of the Eldon Bargewell Memorial Committee.
Those were the words of Major General Bill Garrison. And looking out, those of you that knew Eldon or knew of Eldon, that's why you're here, and that's the kind of man he was. I want to just take you on a short little journey that started 40 years ago when I made a phone call to a classmate, Dave Mitchell, and we said we need to do something for Eldon. 4 years later, here we are. Started out on the journey with Dave, Eric Potts from the Grays Harbor Community Foundation, Tim Quigg, Gary Piercy, and Ben Winkleman, who was then a councilman. And we started on a conversation. We got Denise Burke involved. She wrote us some grants and got us started. The ball got going. But the best find of all were two young women, Jacqueline and Kathleen Byron. And they have developed, if you've looked at that website, it is absolutely amazing. And they did that free gratis, and they have done just a marvelous job of getting the word out. to continue the journey on, we got John Parker involved because there was a lot of hoops to jump through. And then we got in touch with Mike Vining. And Mike, he got you guys, all you guys in uniform here, kind of on board. And Mike has been absolutely great doing that. Doug Godshall, a lot of you guys are here because of Doug's work and hard work. And Bonnie Cooper reached out and got a lot of people involved. Eric Hyde of the 16th was very instrumental in getting things going with the Special Forces Association. Locally, Ralph Larson was a great cheerleader and had a bucket on his cash register, and I think it ended up with what, $1,500 or so coming in besides other donations. Bruce Christensen got on board, and Bruce has a website about SOG, and he got the word out of what was going on. General Schoolmaker, who sadly could not be here, got General Braga involved, and he had got Susan Harris. And Susan's here somewhere, and she has made sure everybody follows the rules. The other members of the committee, Tom Quigg and Dave Williams and Tom LaForest. Patrick Quigg has been the guy. He was the fundraiser for the YMCA, and he knew a lot of people to help us get the ball rolling. And we found in through Tom Quigg, Rip Caswell from Montesano. He's the guy that designed this statue. Major General Bora and John Meyer helped Rip get it right, and when you see it, you'll be amazed of the detail. General Magruder has been absolutely a cheerleader from the beginning, and I think they've been, between he and Pete, have been the guys that gave us some, clout, I guess, for lack of a better word. Yeah. But I want to thank the guys from the 2nd of the 75th for being here. It's just great to see you guys. And then we got a phone call from the 5th group out of Fort Campbell, and they have been just super. They flew out here, a group of about 10 guys, and in honor of Eldon, because Eldon was part of the 5th Special Forces group. The people from Fort Lewis, Major Gardner has been helpful in getting things done, and Michaela Gaston with the first group. All this videoing being done around here is being done by the 1st Special Forces group, and these guys have been great to work with. And okay. 458 people, businesses have donated their time, discounted or their dollars to make this happen. And looking out at the rest of the community, I am so proud of you as a community of what you've accomplished and what you've done. Going forward, I would like you to remember Armed Forces Day yearly, and remember Eldon Bargewell and the men and women that you see here today that served with him. Remembering the little park here on the west side of Hoquiam, and that park is dedicated to all who have served. And we ask that you keep sending your little dollars to us because we want to keep it looking the way it does now. Thank you.
Who is Eldon Bargewell? Dinner gathering, May 19th, 2023. I think his friends and colleagues can best describe Eldon Bargewell.
Doug Godshall. Thank you, sir. My name is Doug Godshall. My claim to fame is modest. When I was 21 years old, I met Eldon Bargewell as a Special Forces trooper in a little town called My Lot in Vietnam, in MACV-SOG, a really unusual group of young gentlemen. The first thing I'd like to do is identify everyone in this audience who fought with MACV-SOG. Would you please stand up? Will any other members of the Special Operations Association do not stand up for that group? MACV-SOG in Vietnam had the highest casualty rate of any Army unit since the Civil War. In 1968, in some months, we had 50% KIA, and throughout the year, we averaged 100% wounded in action with 2 wounds. I had 2 wounds, one from the enemy and one from an idiot soldier in my unit on a training mission who fired off an M79 10 feet in front of me, and the wound to his head from the butt of my 79 was more significant than the shrapnel in my arm. These are some of the greatest soldiers our country has ever produced. And Eldon Bargewell. And I told all of you, was the greatest soldier of our generation. Period. Full stop. To my right is the Bargewell family. Would you please stand up and be identified and take your place? I would like to thank Jason Fry. Please stand up, Jason. And every tall room in this group is named, every tall person is named Quig. Would you gentlemen please stand up? Would every person from Hoquiam and Grace Harbor who participated in this effort please stand up? Thank you. Please stand up. I have 3 things to say that I have in common with Eldon Bargewell. Number 1, we were Green Berets in MACV-SOG. Number 2, we both served as president of the Special Operations Association. And number 3, we both married very beautiful, high-end women, smarter than a handful of PhDs in Japanese arithmetic. Marian Bargewell, please stand.
Thank you for sharing Eldon with us. I'm glad that you left Hoquiam and came to the southeast where I'm headed because he was the funnest woman ever. I don't know how many of you really knew him, but thanks for sending him my way.
Thank the Lord for putting Eldon Bargewell in my path. 3 life lessons I learned from Eldon. I served with him on a mission, on 2 recon missions. He was my boss. I was not his equal. Do not ever think like that. But my children learned about Eldon. Even though we were separated by decades before we talked again, I talked about Eldon Bargewell. He had a mind like a sponge. He learned everything, and he forgot nothing. He was a great teacher of men. And as I was telling his wife, he never yelled at me. And she said, you know what? He yelled at a lot of other people. And I met a lot of colonels who he yelled at. And I said, geez, I wonder why you got yelled at. I probably didn't do anything wrong because I was too stupid to do anything wrong. He understood duty. When he was assigned a mission, he accepted the mission and figured out how to accomplish it, and figured out what the contingencies were. All these civilians, as he would call them, who think we walk around with martinets saluting and so forth, we got a mission, we got a plan, we got people, and we know as the human condition there's going to be some failures in that plan. There's going to be contingencies. and you've got a plan for those contingencies. And Eldon was planned for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contingencies, and hope we never got to 6. And he made sure all his team understood that. He was the bravest man I ever met.
Is there any Air Force pilots in this room? One, raise your hand. He's got it raised. No? Any Army guys? Yeah. Of course.
No, stand up.
First of all, I'm honored and blessed to be here. I am the Air Force pilot. I'm the outsider, I guess. But I want to tell you how we met. I didn't meet Eldon until 1985. I'm an Air Force pilot. I get assigned to Fort Bragg at a place called JSOG. Anybody familiar with that? So I'm an air planner. I'm trying to figure out how to get guys to the fight and extract them safely so that they can, put 2 bullets in the bad guy's head and send them to wherever they were supposed to go. So I get there, I'm a new guy. I'm an IR major, staff officer, and they go, hey, you gotta go out to the Delta compound and watch a demo. And I'm like, okay. I'll go watch it. So I go out there, and I'm watching guys shooting, cordite explosions going off and everything. All these guys dressed in black. They got these balaclavas on their heads. There's one guy standing on the berm. He's got the charging wall. He's got the black jumpsuit. He's got the black, combat boots. He's got the American flag on his shoulder. And he's got long black hair, piercing blue eyes. And I'm like, who's that guy? I didn't know him at the time, but I watched him. And I watched how he was in command. And we were doing a demo for all the congressmen and senators who came down from Washington to observe. Because they were the guys who they controlled the Benjamins, the money. How are we going to pay these guys? All the ammunition, all the ranges, all the stuff that they trained on. And I remember Eldon telling me when they built the Red Roof, I called it the Red Roof Inn on Fort Bragg, you might be familiar with it. He says, hey, you want the Dallas Cowboys? You gotta pay for the Dallas Cowboys. Because they were very popular at the time. They had won 3 Super Bowls. And I'm like, okay, I got it. Anyway, that was the day I met Eldon Bargewell. I still didn't know him. But then 3 months later, we did another op together, just planning and stuff like that. And then it was July 4th, 1986. Bragg used to do these demos for the holiday. Black folks would come in right on a field in front of everybody, crash and killed everybody, but we did it back in those days. And then Eldon and I and our families first met. We were watching that together. And I don't know how I connected with them. He connected with me, and we wound up going camping together, and we maintained a close relationship for 34 years. You probably never heard of it. Any guys, except a couple of folks over there, because we worked together during those times. And I'm just like, he's always been there, even with ups and downs in his life and my life. We always maintained contact, and I miss him.
At this time, please remain standing for the raising of the flag by the 5th Special Forces Group and the national anthem sung by Miss Grace Harbour, Miss Lauren Lagerson. Then please remain standing for the invocation by Chaplain Cobb. The colors today are being presented by the 5th Group, or being presented to them by the commanders of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, Post 1135 from Hoquiam, Mr. Henry Clark, and Post 2455 from Montesano, Mr. Wayne Harper. and gentlemen, please welcome the Eldon Bargewell Committee member, David Mitchell, sculptor, Rip Caswell, and the Bargewell family, Mrs. Marian Bargewell, Brandt and his daughter Eloise and son Evan, Lauren Phillips and her daughters, Addison Phillips and Mackenzie Clake, as they unveil the statue of Major General Eldon Bargewell.
Why don't you come up here? Yeah, go ahead. Why don't we-
Good afternoon. What a glorious afternoon in Hoquiam, Washington. Thank you so much for being here. There's people here from every part of Eldon's life, I think, from his hometown of Hoquiam, which I'm so glad to see all of y'all. And thank you so much for what y'all have done to make this part possible. It's just beautiful, and please take care of it. And people from Vietnam, which was his first military assignment, all of his good friends from there, and on through until his retirement, y'all are all very represented here. He would give anything to be here and see all of y'all. He loved y'all so much, every one of you. He would be humbled by this experience so much, but he would be happy. And there was always a joke about Eldon that he never smiled that much, but I promise you he would be all smiles today. He would be smiling. Thank you so much to Jay Fry, Mike Vining, everybody that made this event possible. It means so much to our family. Jay told me just yesterday that he started thinking about this the day after Eldon passed away. And it's been 4 years in the making, and he never, ever gave up. He never faltered. And I have to give a shout out to Mike Vining for being his helper. Mike and Jay are the ones that always communicated with me, asked for things, and told me do right or whatever. But Mike, I married Eldon, and right before we moved to Fort Bragg and joined the unit, and Mike was one of the first people that I met, and he's always been a good friend since then, so I was so proud that he was such a big part of this occasion. And thank you to all the military that are here. I love every one of y'all too. Y'all all are so young looking and so good looking, but keep going. And the main thank you is to Rip Caswell. I just met him unveiling the thing. It just means more to me than I can even say. It is absolutely beautiful. And I am so honored that the committee here found such a renowned and famous artist to create this statue for us. It's just beautiful. Thank you. I will say the statue is the highlight of the day, don't you think? Yeah. I mean, it's definitely the highlight. I love it. And thank you to two of my favorite people in the whole world, Lawson Magruder and Eric Olson, for being here. They were two of Eldon's heroes. He loved and respected these two men to the very highest. Like he said, they pretty much have introduced themselves as far as who they were and said so many kind things about Eldon, but They were all the truth. And I appreciate it so, so much. Thank you. And also this afternoon, oh God, I've lost my thought. Steve Dawson and somebody else is going to speak. Kurt Moose, one of my favorite people. Kurt, I have to say something about Kurt because he was not military. He is the man that Eldon and his team, Steve being one of them, rescued from prison down in Panama during that situation. And Kurt has called Eldon and continues to call me every day of that rescue. He will never, ever forget Eldon and what he did for him. And like I said, he still calls me, and it means the world to me that somebody appreciates what somebody did for them. And I'm so glad Eldon was able to do it. A huge thank you to the town of Hoquiam. I've only been to Hoquiam a couple of times, and most of the time we stayed at Mr. and Ms. Bargewell's home, visit with them and show them the grandkids and all that kind of stuff. But this is the friendliest place. We came in Thursday night, and of course we went straight to our house here in Hoquiam. And yesterday morning we got up and we were roaming around trying to find some breakfast. And we found a little restaurant called the Jitters. We walked in, and as we meaning two of my couples, Eldon's couples from Vietnam, the two men in Vietnam and the wives are my friends. We're all friends is what I'm trying to say. We walked into this restaurant and everybody turned around and spoke and looked at us, and they didn't know who we were. And then we started talking to the man behind us, and it was your mayor, Mayor Ben. And we just had the best time sitting there talking. And I will say, they have, if y'all don't know, you locals don't know, they have the best quiche and the best cup of coffee ever. It was absolutely delicious. So go there. And the owner is the finest, most American man. He loves the military and has all the honors on the wall and so forth. It was a great experience. And as we were leaving, we found out the mayor had paid for our breakfast. So yay. That was good. Is Ben here? Is Ben here, the mayor here?
Is the mayor?
No, he said he would be here. But anyway, y'all got a good mayor.
Way back.
Way back.
Mayor, where are you?
Oh, there you are. Thank you. We didn't know he'd done that till he left. But again, Hoquiam has been a pleasure. My kids and grandkids all want to move out here after being here 24 hours, and I'm kind of with them. Everybody is so nice, and obviously y'all are huge supporters of Eldon Bargewell and this statue, and it is so appreciated by me and us and everybody we know, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former Deputy Commanding General and Chief of Staff to U.S. Army Forces Command and former 10th Mountain Division Commander, Ranger Hall of Fame member, Lieutenant General, retired, Lawson Magruder III.
Before I get started, I just want to say a few words to the special soldiers here, because Armed Forces Day, what the heck, for you, you know, to my fellow veterans, my goodness, what you did for our country in peacetime and in war, God bless you. Thank you. For these sharp soldiers in uniform, my goodness, they continue to have a willingness to sacrifice for our great nation. Thank you. Thank you. And they're going to be introduced here in a few minutes, but back here in the black shirts, soon-to-be soldiers in the United States Army, my goodness, we need you right now. And thank you for stepping forward. You're going to serve something greater than self, and that's the great United States of America and defending our Constitution and our freedoms. And thank you for going above and beyond. God bless you. I want to thank the organizing committee, particularly Jay Fry and Mike Vining. I finally got to meet him in person after so many months of emails, and thank you, both of you, and the entire community and the Hoquiam community and small town USA. Wow, you all are amazing what you have produced here to honor our friend Eldon Bargewell. I want to also compliment, needless to say, and I haven't seen it yet, okay? We're gonna see the unveiling in a few minutes, but I want to thank Rip Caswell, who designed the beautiful statue here, and Robert Droll for the design and layout of this magnificent park, which, oh, by the way, it's an arrowhead right here if you look at it from a drone. And then Dan Christensen, I guess a local fellow, did all this pavement work. It's just a beautiful job. Let's thank the design team for what they've done here. Well, to Marian and the Bargewell family, I think he's here in spirit, and I think he'd say, what the heck's going on, you know? My goodness, why all this attention for me? And he's truly humbled by what's going on here. A little background about my relationship with Eldon. In 1973, then Chief of Staff of the Army Creighton Abrams, the 26th Chief of Staff of the Army, made a really historic decision. And he said, we're going to form 2 modern Ranger battalions. The first one will be activated in October of '73 at Hunter Army Airfield near Savannah, Georgia. And the 2nd Battalion will follow a year later up at Fort Lewis, Washington. Out of the thousands of highly qualified lieutenants, infantry lieutenants in our Army, the only officer candidate school graduate, the only former enlisted officer in the unit, that Bo Baker, our battalion commander, selected to be a platoon leader, was Eldon Bargewell. And I was deeply honored to be Eldon's company commander of Bravo Company. And what a year it was. We progressed from, first of all, forming the company, which when I got there had 39 Rangers in it, and then we grew it. We went through individual to squad to platoon to company level training, and then we were certified in December of 1975. Key to our success in that first year was building high standards and building trust within the battalion and within the company. And Eldon was instrumental in helping me infuse high standards within the company and realism in our training. And even though I was a Vietnam combat veteran infantry lieutenant and commanding a company for the 2nd time, I was a far better company commander because I had Eldon at my side. You know, Eldon's what we refer to as a quiet professional. His humble, authentic nature was a model for others. But most of all, Eldon was a true American hero. You know, if you look it up in Webster's, here's a definition of hero. A person of distinguished courage or ability who is admired for his brave deeds and his noble qualities. You know, we've all read about Eldon's, what he did in combat. His courage, his indomitable courage. You can read it on these plaques here. You know, his personal courage inspired me and many others for 50 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome former Commander, United States Special Operations Command, Admiral retired Eric Olson.
Thank you. Such an honor to be with you on such a magnificent and important day. Again, look around. All of the active duty soldiers behind you, they have your back as always. I think it's always a great pleasure to see Green Berets march in formation. It doesn't happen very often. But these guys did it today like they do it every day. Thanks to all of you who have traveled so far to represent the active military, to be here today. You veterans who look like you haven't aged today and are ready to go back in service. And all of the rest of you who have given so much to this memorial and this day. I add my thanks to that of others, to Mike Vining and Jay Fry and essentially all of the city of Hoquiam and beyond for making this possible. And I offer my deep appreciation to Marian and all the members of the Bargewell family who are here today for enabling Eldon to have become so much in his life and his career. Even Eldon Bargewell couldn't do it all by himself. I'm Eric Olson. I'm a native of Tacoma, a retired Navy SEAL Admiral who was privileged to work with Eldon many times over the last half of my service. Eldon was a little more than 4 years older than me, but we were commissioned as officers in the same year, 1973. As General Magruder and Marshal Reed said, some might say that made us military peers, but it's certainly not the case. By the time I was graduating from the Naval Academy and beginning my career, Eldon had almost 5 years of Army service and had returned from Vietnam with both the Distinguished Service Cross and the deep respect of all who knew him or knew of him. I had heard of the legendary Eldon Bargewell for a long time, but when I started working closely with him about 20 years into my career, I felt not at all like a peer, but much more like the proverbial grasshopper at the feet of the Shaolin master. He knew that I still had much to learn in some specific areas of warfare where he was quite expert, and he taught me as much as he could. The standard that I wanted to achieve was Eldon Bargewell's approval, and it was a high standard for sure. I should also mention that when we Olsons moved as a Navy family to the big Army base at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the first welcome gift we got was a bottle of wine delivered to our doorstep by one Eldon A. Bargewell. A few years later, after much time together, we overlapped for more than a year in our respective brigade-level command assignments. Eldon as a colonel in the Army's most prestigious Special Mission Unit, and me as a Navy captain at its Navy counterpart. These two highly specialized units were often considered to be in some sort of competition with each other. And it's true that we wanted to get every mission that we could possibly get. But during that period when Eldon and I were both in command, we organized exchange training, mutually supported exercises at a level that I don't think was matched before or since. We occasionally conducted short notice helicopter assaults on each other's compounds in the middle of the night, exposing our highly specialized equipment, tactics, and techniques to each other. It was just two guys from Washington State, far away from home, doing what we thought was right for our teams and our country. I know for sure that my unit was better for having trained with and against Eldon's, and I think that Eldon would acknowledge that his force might have learned a thing or two from us. Later, when I had the great opportunity to present the United States Special Operations Command's most prestigious recognition, the Bull Simons Award, to Eldon in 2010, I said at that time, so I'm quoting myself, Major General Eldon A. Bargewell's career of service is an amazing example of how one person, always learning and always leading, can profoundly impact both mission success and the people who are privileged to serve with him. He is the man you want planning the mission, the one you want close by on your right or left in a firefight, and the one you can trust to tell the truth when it's over. Another distinguished recipient of the Bull Simons Award and one of Eldon Bargewell's closest friends and mentors, General Pete Schoemaker, fiercely wanted to be here today, but COVID, for him and his wife, forced a change of plans. He sent me this to share with you in his absence. From General Pete Schoemaker. It is with deep regret that I am unable to join you, Marian, and the Bargewell family on this special occasion to honor a great friend and battle buddy, Major General Eldon Bargewell. For more than 40 years, since our earliest days in the unit, I was privileged to both serve with Eldon and to know him as a close friend. He was one of the finest leaders of his generation, living all 7 of the Army values to the fullest: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Without a doubt, Eldon was a warrior, the very epitome of the warrior ethos. Always placed the mission first, never quit, never accept defeat, and never leave a fallen comrade. Eldon loved his country and his hometown of Hoquiam. He would be humbled by what you have done here today to honor his name and his extraordinary service. Thank you. With respect, Peter J. Schoonmaker, General United States Army, retired, 5th Commander-in-Chief, United States Special Operations Command, and 35th Chief of Staff, United States Army. I also received an email this morning from retired General David Petraeus, a former commander of United States Central Command and director of the Central Intelligence Agency. He simply described Eldon Bargewell as one of the great ones. I am a Washingtonian of Scandinavian descent. Norse lore is that a Viking dies twice. The first death is when his human heart stops beating, and if his warrior deeds merit it, he will be carried by a flight of Valkyries to the resplendent hall at Valhalla to live as a celebrated hero. The Viking's second death is when his name is spoken for the last time on earth. As a legendary warrior, trainer, and leader, Eldon Bargewell surely looks down from his perch as a celebrated hero. I thank all of you for ensuring by creating this everlasting memorial that he will never die his second death.